Okay, I am working on putting on the Outback Mototech crash bars and skid plate. I've already put the rack on the back, and I've still got to redo something on that, put some blue Loctite on there. But I've come up with a little caution. I think probably 99.9% of these are going to go in just fine, but here's just a couple little points that you might want to think about. Putting this bolt in when everything was going together great, okay? Putting this one in, I didn't have it perfectly straight, and it started trying to strip out or cross thread, and not the bolt. The bolt seemed to be fine, but going in, it seemed to be trying to cross thread. Now, in order to get the correct tap and die to clean those threads out, and if it gets tight, I strongly suggest, this is from growing up on a farm, I'm not a mechanic, I'm not a machinist, but I strongly suggest if it starts kind of acting like it's cross threading, don't push harder, okay? I'm just using the regular that came with the Honda, okay? The Allen key came with it, because you should have more than enough to get that thing started and get it almost all the way in there before you actually final tighten it with this. If it's getting hard with this, something's wrong. So in order to get the right tap and die, this is an M6. We know that, we know the length, but we're not absolutely sure of the threads, okay? And I went and double checked and confirmed it. I even took it over to Honda and had them double check. It is an M6 1.0. M6 1.0. Now, I was able to get a tap and die set from Harbor Freight. I always forget which one's the tap and which one's the die. But anyway, this is the M6 1.0 that I was wanting to make sure the bolt threads were correct. It didn't seem to be working for me. Something's kind of screwy on that. But when I took the bolt to Honda and they were able to verify it, that told me the threads were fine. So I used the M6 tap, I guess. And there's not enough room to use the wrench that comes with it. So I just had to put a adjustable wrench on it. Clean those threads out, and now you can see I can finger tighten it. So when doing this, it might be a good idea to have a metric set of tap and die handy just in case. Now, the other thing that I found that you might want to just think about, the through bolts that go through the engine here, they give you a new bolt and new nuts. This is the nut that came with those two long through bolts on this thing. It is not a nylock. Putting blue Loctite on it will hold it in place, but there is still some thread left. This is the flange nut that came on the bike. Now, even though the millimeters are different, the threads are exactly the same. So what I'm planning on doing is putting blue Loctite on the one that came from Outback, and then possibly even blue Loctite, but I'm gonna make this a lock nut. So I'm just gonna use both of them, do that as a lock nut. Another thing that wasn't totally obvious to me when I looked at the Outback instructional videos for the skid plate. Now, I've seen a couple other videos. You can put the crash bars on with a different manufacturer's skid plate if you wish. But with the Outback, this front piece, there's two pieces of plastic down there. There is the plastic skid plate that came on it, covers the bottom. And then there's the little front guard here. Now, on the Outback's video for putting on the skid plate, they show them removing this one, putting on a bracket, and putting it back on. What they did not show was removing that. It was actually, if you look closely, it's already been removed, and it had to be because this is what bolts up to those two things. You do not reuse this. So if you're doing just the skid plate, remember you're going to have to take that bottom plastic skid plate off, which was not shown in the video. If you're doing the combination of the crash bars and the skid plate, again, need to take that plastic skid plate off, lay it over to the side, and then you'll be replacing it with the metal one, but this front little piece will be going back on. If I find anything else, I'll add it on here. Well, I finally got it done. What the time is it? It has taken me a while. So it is now 5:58. And I started this probably about 4 hours ago. So it has taken me a good half a day. And it's 100 degrees outside. Luckily, I do have, you know, carport I can pull it into, get in the shade, have a fan on me. But I was able to get it on finally. I've got to say, of the three, the rear rack was by far the easiest. Crash bars would have been very easy had it not been for the potential of stripping that out. And I was able to successfully use the 6 1.0. I always forget which one's a tap and which one's a die, but the one that cleans out the threads from the nut. Cleaned it out, worked fine. So once I got that done, everything else was good to go. The bash plate was a pain in the butt. It literally, I mean, on the video, it looks like it's a 5-minute job. But I like to never got these two bolts started. These first two. I mean, it's really pressing that plastic in. The original plastic one actually clips to these pieces of plastic kind of to hold everything together and kind of keep it from rattling. This one is just, it's just pressing, you know, it's just, as you tighten those in, once you finally get those going and get it up there, it's just squeezing this basically like a really tight bra on somebody, you know, on Bette Midler or something, really just trying to lift. That's actually surprising me how much it's pressing that up, and I'm wondering how much clearance there is between this plastic and the metal block, and if that's going to wear or if it's going to be excessive heat. And actually I see this hole, there's 3 little rubber pieces, one here, one on the other side, the same place, and one right here. You see that little button right there? There's a little piece of plastic rubber that goes in there to keep it from wearing that plastic directly on the metal. This one just would not stay in. It's like I almost needed to glue it to keep it in. It kept falling out, and now it's out again. So it's going to be metal on plastic. So if you ever do take this off, you're going to have wear right there. It almost seems like this needs to be, almost seems like this could be angled out a little more, not press on that quite so hard, and that would make it a whole lot easier to install. I don't think it really needs to press against that hard in order to protect it. There's no reason this wing couldn't come out a little bit more, deflect a little more, give a little bit more room in there. I don't know if Outback Motor Tech will ever consider redesigning that a little bit, but if they did, I would, this piece right here, and I'm no engineer, but I, just from having to fit it on and stuff like that, I would put a little bit more room here, open that up a little bit. I think it would make a big difference. But yeah, so it's at least on there now and solid. So again, I'm not a mechanic, I'm not an engineer, anything like that, but I did grow up on a farm. I have turned a few wrenches. And there were a couple of little bitty fiddly things that just made me try to keep my patience. While I was getting the tap and die set, I did pick up one of these Apache boxes, kind of like a Pelican. Then they didn't have any black ones, but I may put there as kind of a trunk box at some point. But to do that, I'm going to need to take this plate off, drill the holes, and I just don't feel like that right now. So anyway, that's the next stage, and I'm still deciding on whether or not to put the work again on trying to get the tank bag on there, or maybe even see if I can get the tank bag on the back. That would work too.